Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
And welcome back, everyone, to The Wilder Ride, where we are getting wilder by the minute, a podcast where we are breaking down and celebrating, at least in Season 1, the Gene Wilder film, Young Frankenstein, one unbelievable tap dance routine in those boots at a time. I'm Alan Sanders.
And I'm Walt Murray.
And joining us once again is Matt Madman Gray. Welcome back.
Back again.
Back again. Like a rash that just won't go away.
Okay, that was a mistake that I learned I should never make again.
You know, they say you have to use the entire tube of ointment. Don't stop. Even if it disappears, it may come back. You have to treat it fully.
So, I see now the error of my ways.
Of what, showing up here?
Yeah, basically being friends with you guys. The first mistake.
This is what you get.
Many have made the mistake.
Yes.
It's like a cold sore.
It is. It just keeps on coming back.
You guys are like a Venus flytrap of sucking out people's self-esteem.
We just like to keep you in your place, Matt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the lackey, as it were. I'm the Igor of this.
Yes, you are the Igor.
And I'm proud. He's a beloved character.
He is. We're actually going to get a chance to see Igor in this minute.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Just a brief glimpse. We don't get the gag that was cut out of him rolling the piano out there. We don't get the other stuff. But we do get a chance to see that Igor is a big part of the Doctor's one-night-only presentation of The Creature.
Yeah, and he also has some kind of crazy-looking hair. I guess we see why he keeps his hair covered up all the time.
Well, he's just trying to look like Gene.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Taking after his
hair
master.
is a very big part of this movie.
Well, you know, we didn't mention yesterday, but the mustache is on full wide split again.
Sure is. That reverse Hitler.
Yeah. And, since we're talking about the minutes sort of all over the place, let me go ahead and set the table for everyone here. For minute number 82, when we last left yesterday, we were in mid-lyric, and we will continue the song lyric, Cutaway Coat, Perfect Fits, and we are going to end with the beginning of what's going to be an extended tap dance routine that will go straight into tomorrow. And a lot kind of in between to demonstrate just how agile and how well-trained this creature has become. Because remember, we had the comment before, at the very end of last week, Walt, when we were setting up the whole song and dance, Dr. Frankenstein made a comment, even if it were tissue that were sort of just pulsating in liquid, that'd be impressive. Boy, do you see what I'm going to show you. And hey, so far, I'm impressed.
Yeah, definitely. And I think anybody in the Transylvanian Neurological Society would be pretty impressed with what they're seeing here.
See, we're seeing very slowly how much the monster knows how to do. First, he was able to say a word, or some words, Puttin on the Ritz. He was able to snap his fingers, and he knew when to do it. The next time he has to sing the line Puttin on the Ritz, instead of snapping, now he physically leaps both feet off the ground as his little punctuation before yelling Puttin on the Ritz.
Well, and I'll say kind of in two different ways, that's impressive footwork. For the monster to be able to do that, that's pretty impressive. For an actor to be able to do that in 125 pounds of extra gear and platform shoes, that's amazing.
Yeah, I wonder if they kept the same weight on him for all of this, or if they sort of just bulked him up knowing the monkey suit might hide some of it, because he is doing a lot of maneuvering on that
really
stage.
Is.
I wonder if that's why their movements weren't so in sync early, that he was trying to play, he's almost playing a little catch-up. He's a little behind Gene Wilder's dance moves in the minute we just left yesterday. He gets a little better today. Which
may be kind of intentional, too, because he is following the lead of the Doctor as he's going through the paces.
Are you a dancer, Matt?
Well, not professionally, but we all like to have a good time, right?
Yeah. And my kids came home one night when I was dancing to 80s music with the wife after having had a few too many cocktails.
Yep.
Apparently, they thought it was funny, and I don't remember it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I remember walking in, it was the middle of sort of a spin move on the hardwood floors, which is great when you're in socks and you can do that.
Oh, sure.
It makes you feel like you're Michael Jackson, right? Boo! And all of a sudden, I spun, and there she was. I'm like, oh. I felt like I was in a really bad 80s sitcom all of a sudden. Like, I thought this only happened on television. But yeah, she walked in, coming in from work, and the wife and I were just actually, if you've not just done that, I'm just going to say, if you need a reason to be cardio fit and you don't want to go to the treadmill, if you just start dancing to 80s music or whatever music you like, nobody was around. The dogs were enjoying it. They were just looking at us like, I don't know, as long as they feed us, that's all we care about.
And it's great motivation for the kids to wrap up their education and move out of the house.
Like, please, I'm so glad I didn't bring a friend home. But do you like do the kind of club thing every now and then?
Oh, no clubs. But I mean, you dance at parties sometimes, I mean, weddings, obviously, stuff like that, but not a club.
Walt, I imagine you do the Elaine when you go out.
Yes, that was based off of me, actually. The very spastic, horrifying.
Do you do the Elaine or do you do the Monica from Friends? Where she's that typical, like she danced when she was on the stage with Bruce Springsteen, when she was first discovered?
Yeah,
that whole little,
I kind of do the stand on the side and watch other people dance. That's
do you sway?
No.
No, you don't do the head bob. You don't do
the old buffet line.
That is more my speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's my.
Are you
find
afraid
the actual buffet?
Are you afraid people might laugh at you? Or
no, I'm afraid I might hurt someone.
You think a bowling ball goes right through the audience.
Yeah, I think you know me well enough to know that I'm not worried about people laughing at me.
That's true. You know what? You're right. Oh my God, we've got Violet Beauregard after chewing the gum on the stage right now. She's rolling on out there. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. Well, remember, I grew up playing hockey.
That's true, yeah.
Unfortunately, that has carried over into other areas of my life.
Shoulder checking your dance partner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, I don't mind the dancing bit, and I do the whole whatever, just sway, move, just kind of watch what other people are doing, just have fun. I am not in any way close to train. Like, I've never done tap. I've never done anything. The only time I ever had to do anything close to this was I got cast in the one and only time I have ever been in a musical, and it was The Music Man. And I was part of Tommy's gang. I was in college still. I decided to go out for a community theater production. They put me in Tommy's gang, and I was like, oh, okay, let's call me in a gang. Yeah, I didn't know what the musical was about. I didn't know anything about it. We're singing about frickin' trombones and the Wells Fargo wagon coming to town. I'm like, what
That's
the hell
scary
is
game.
this? But I had to learn dance routine, and I realized I am not really good at memorizing my routine. It took me forever. It scared me. I was like, we're getting close. I started getting frustrated because I was like, okay, I committed to this. I want to be part of it. But all of a sudden, I don't know once it finally clicked, I was perfect every night. And I know I was perfect because the one time we were all doing these moves, and all of a sudden we're all three of us on the one side, all looked to our right, and the guy that was to my right was looking to me, and he realized, oh, I'm on the wrong foot. But I realized how hard this is to do these kind of choreographed, especially with multiple people staying in tune with one another. So I'm impressed by this because I don't have this ability. It takes me a long time to memorize that choreography. And when I started doing sword choreography, I realized how similar it was to choreographing a fight scene as choreographing a dance number. You still had to know your beats, your movements. You need to know where you had to be. More important with swords because you could actually hurt somebody. And so I have a lot of admiration for people who can do this kind of really formal, stylized dance.
Well, I think any choreography like that is pretty impressive. I was recently watching some clips of the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and what those guys go through to be able to do that is pretty amazing. And I mean, you have to be spot on to do it. And it really does speak to how in tune they are with their movements and their bodies. And I really have come to appreciate that with dancers and other people. But I think that tap dancing has to be one of the hardest things to be able to do, because if you are out of time at all, everybody's going to know it.
Right.
And I was even impressed here with Peter Boyle's foot movement. I mean, he is on it.
Yeah, as we continue through this, that is something that is impressive. Side note, you were talking about military precision. When I was actually in the Navy, I was actually part of when you're in A school, when you're at your military occupation specialty, you're basically, it's like college. You're in class all the time, and it gets kind of boring. So I tried out for the performance drill team, and actually we marched in some parades, and that's where I learned how to spin the rifle and do all the little fancy moves where you're exchanging rifles and stuff. And I loved that. I thought that was really, really, really super cool to do, to learn all that choreography to take your typical put the rifle on your shoulder and instead spin it up onto your shoulder and then spin it behind you, throw it behind you. The person in front of you is throwing theirs, you catch theirs. And I had a lot of fun doing that when I was a little younger.
Well, and that is again one of those things that if you are out of time at all, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, and if for folks who are, if you've never YouTubed just a precision color guard from the military, anything to do with the rifle drill team, or go back and watch the very opening of A Few Good Men.
Yes,
they have the Marine drill team, exhibition drill team, and they are. Because they do it with nobody commanding. They all do it with silent counts, which I think is just
crazy.
It's so impressive.
Impressive. Most impressive.
To see the ripple effect, and then it's unbelievable to watch the drill team.
Well, and I think I appreciate it more. There are a lot of things I can do with a rifle. I'm pretty good with a rifle. That isn't one of them. And to see those drill teams go through those rounds is really impressive to me. And because you're talking about, the balance of the rifle, the skill of working with the other people and staying in tune and in time. And it is really impressive. And that was kind of what I was wondering here as I was watching this minute is, did they intentionally have the creature a little bit behind him on purpose?
And there's another moment where, and you may be right, because he eventually does catch up, but there's even a moment where the doctor, as he moves past right after the whole leap up in the air, and, he says, Puttin on the Ritz, the doctor, which, by the way, at this point, I'm still thinking it's only Dr. Frankenstein with tap shoes, because the clicks are only really happening with him. Or at least we only see the clicks when he's walking across the stage. So after the second Puttin on the Ritz, he does the little thing where he's shuffling with his cane off to the one side, and then he bangs his cane on the ground, and then the monster, about a split second later, does the same move. So once again, they're not 100% in line with each other. And I'm thinking that's got to be something that's sort of on purpose. I think it's directed that way to show that the monster is not 100% perfect lockstep at this point.
I would think so. Matt, what do you think?
Well, impressive nonetheless, I'd still say.
Absolutely.
I mean, they may not be perfectly in time, but yes, this man was once dead, and I'm sure that the audience would have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point because they're really here to see a reanimated creature.
This was supposed to be a scientific display at first.
Yes, right. Which is kind of funny.
It is.
The scientific display is put a tux on the formerly dead person and let them dance and sing Puttin on the Ritz.
Yes. The scientists everywhere are saying, this is very academic.
It's a very interesting scientific choice.
Yes.
Well, again, remember why we talked about yesterday, the irony of picking this song. It's about putting on airs. It's about being something you're really not.
Yeah, very, very true.
And although they're doing a good job pretending that they're something that they're not so far, that just the fact that we know what the song title means, I have a feeling that things won't hold together as long as they want it to hold together.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of take a guess that you're probably right.
When he shuffles over and they do the whole cane thing and he starts to move around again, I'm going to point out that one more time, it looks like only Gene Wilder's got tap shoes on until about, let's see, where are they? About 20 seconds into it, when they start doing this synchronized shuffle back and forth, and we realize, wait, now I hear two sets of tap shoes, which means those boots are tap boots. Where do you go for tap? Oh, I guess we're in Transylvania.
Well, and now the theater's been turned into a shoe store. I wonder if maybe that they were
you're
in
talking
that
about the real theater where they filmed this.
Monster Books and in a shoe store is what that theater is now, Matt.
Wow.
So Monster Books.
Monster Books.
It's Monster Books, and isn't it like Palace of Shoes or something?
Shoe Palace. Yeah, Shoe Palace. Yep.
Which is another name for a castle.
That's right. So, well, this is Transylvania, and they've got, the head shop and the brain emporium or whatever. They've got to have monster tap shoes.
Okay, let's go back for a second. Remember we had Doug Greenberg from Rocky Minute. We started talking about how the Rocky movies slowly morphed, and now you've got to have that montage. Can you imagine if we made this movie today, you'd have the whole training montage, him showing up with like a bunch of 6-year-olds to their very first tap dancing school. And so you've got the teacher scolding him for being out of time and putting his leg up on the stretching bar and doing doing little what do you call the ballet type dips and things. And
Yes, and you'd have the tap shoe fitting.
you would. You'd have that. You'd have fitting his, like the very first time he's putting his coat on for the tailor and he stretches and it all splits down the back and you see Gene Wilder just shaking his head and the tailor upset and the whole time you've got better in a montage.
If only this had been made about 5 years later, during the height of montage.
Well, we need about 10, right in the middle of the 80s.
True.
Because this is mid-70s, 73 film, 74 released, really. So
Yeah, it's about 10 years. You're
we're
right.
about 10 years behind the montage. What else would they have put in there?
Oh, well, you would have had to have his physical training, and
Teaching him how to snap his fingers.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, you could have a scene like the little girl comes back from the well and she shows her how easy it is and he like throws her up in the window again.
It'd be awesome. It'd be the greatest montage in the history of montages.
Obviously, he's learned a lot. And so I'm cracking myself up thinking him showing up in dance class, just sitting there, putting on a little tutu. He comes out with the other little girls on like tiptoes.
Peter Boyle may have said no to that.
Well,
understandably.
That may not have been his creative choice at that point. Well, and you would have also had to fit different colors of tuxedos and to see which one really worked. So you'd have had the tie-dye and,
there'd be that scene 70s. You typically see in like Pretty Woman or something where they're trying on 15 different tuxes to see if they go good together.
That's right. And the hat.
The first shop they walk into, they don't want to wait on. They don't wait on on monsters. That's like right. That. Then they come monsters. Back later with bunches of boxes and they go, big mistake, big mistake.
Yes, I can see this.
We should do this. We could do this as sort of a...
Put together our own montage.
Yeah, put our own montage together. We'll do what do you call it? A fan film.
Yeah, Matt, you're kind of tall. You could
I'd obviously play the monster.
Part.
I understand. I get it.
That's why you're here today.
And then, we're doing this today now.
We're doing this today.
No one told me.
Right now.
We have the camera set up, ready to go, and action.
Absolutely.
And action.
Well, hold on.
I got to point this out again because the 74 audience is not necessarily as sensitive as the 21st century audience. Every time Peter Boyle says one of his lines, I know he's imitating somebody with a very low IQ.
That's right.
Unfortunately, we do this still to this day. We just don't do it in public. We do it with people we can trust. Or when I'm making fun of my kids.
Who are as sick as we are.
Right. I mean, I have done this voice when my kids have done something really stupid back. Or they say, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. I do kind of like that whiny, stupid kind of voice. And I'm not in any way making fun of people who are truly challenged. But there are some people who are not, who act just like this.
Yes. Yes. And again, we haven't run across too many of these situations in this movie where you think, could they have made this today? They could make this movie today. Mm-hmm. But that one they probably would leave out. They would figure out another way to do that.
Yeah, I think so. They'd have to do something silly. It'd be like a Jim Carrey kind of voice or something.
Yes.
Or maybe imitating some, like William Shatner or something.
Yeah, and I would guess that they would probably go for somebody like The Rock or somebody like that to play the monster.
Oh my God, that actually would be pretty good. Did you see the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle?
Yes.
I was really, really impressed with how The Rock played the part in that. I found myself actually really liking that sequel.
He is one of those actors that you always kind of go, yeah, it's The Rock, and he started off as a pro wrestler, but every part he's in, he really nails. I have to say, he is a great actor.
And I think what helps is he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Right. You're absolutely right. And I think he's willing to do anything to make the movie good.
I agree. Did you see that? Did you see the sequel?
You mean the new Jumanji movie?
The new Jumanji movie, yeah.
Is there a second one? Or is
that is the second one.
I mean, I saw the one with, Jack Black and Kevin Hart and all that.
That's the second one.
Then, yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. I mean, I thought you meant there was a sequel to that Jumanji movie.
Can I get you to say the following?
I know there's
this way. Ready?
I know there's an original Jumanji movie.
The original Jumanji?
And we're back to square one.
Did you not know about Robin Williams?
I know about Robin Williams' Jumanji movie. I thought you meant there was a sequel to the one with The Rock in it. Like there was a Jumanji.
No, when I said the sequel with The Rock, I don't know how you
How
heard.
fast is traffic going through this area that I could just run into?
We
Finally
do
ran
have,
him off.
We do have Peter Boyle's character in studios right now. We are good to go.
See? There it is.
Oh, but there was that grunting noise. I was just doing the
He didn't
imitation
even
right
know
there.
he was
exactly.
doing it. He did the grunt.
It was good being here, folks. I'm going to hop on out early.
We still have one more episode.
Well, we'll see what happens.
well, you and I might apparently.
Yeah, I'll be hanging from the ceiling.
Sir, you're under contract.
That's right. You did sign. You signed on the
Verbal
dotted line.
contract, at least.
It was a candygram for Mongo, and you signed it.
That's okay.
Yeah, because remember I said, hey, do you want to be on all 3 episodes? And you said yes. So
Yes,
we're
and
holding
then
you
I forgot who I was talking to, and then I got here and I realized this was a horrible idea.
Bit of a verbal contract. All right. We've got to very quickly get back to the tap dance routine here, because once they both start to do the moving in sync with one another, and even to the point where Gene Wilder, right at about second 45, he does this gesture of pulling his sleeves back, almost as to say, look, nothing up my sleeves. Like, who would think that this was like some card flying out of his sleeve? I mean, it's a 7.5 foot tall gorilla. I mean, does he think there's strings or something on this guy? Is like some marionette? Yeah,
that was kind of a strange move.
I didn't understand it, but I mean, I guess that's what he's trying to at least convey at some point, that, hey, look, nothing up my sleeves. And as they, he spins around, and then they now are going to both do a duet, a tap duet together. The camera pans right just enough. We get our Igor shot.
Yeah, and there's Igor sitting with no hump that we can see, banging away on the piano.
Yep, starting right at about second 48, as the camera is slowly shifting to the right, we see that sort of blocked area is the back of a piano that's been rolled out on the stage, and Igor is definitely into playing the piano, but I have never seen anybody play the piano quite that way.
He
looks like one of those guys that if he had like the drum... Like the guys that you see at the carnival that have like the drum and the cymbals and the guitar like all hooked to their legs, like from Mary Poppins when we first meet Dick Van Dyke. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, is he hopping up and down to like being beat with the drum, like while he's playing the song?
Yeah, he's kind of the one-man band.
Yeah, it's exactly, that's what he looks like, because he keeps hopping up and down on the seat. I mean, that's not how you play the piano. At least not the way you're supposed to.
You play piano.
Well, that's true.
Igor does a lot of things that not a lot of people do.
You're right. I forgot that qualifier. This is how Igor plays the
this
piano.
Is Igor's piano playing.
So we do get to see him. He didn't get the line that we left, but we do see him, and he is, much like everything else Igor does, he's never not on. He is 100% committed to whatever he's doing, even when he's not on camera.
And I wonder how much of that was Marty Feldman being Marty Feldman, and how much of that was written in the script.
It just has him, they have the line about him saying, just pull it out on stage, and he just begins playing, and that's it. There's nothing else in the script about anything he's doing, so he just ran with it.
It would be kind of unusual for him not to be doing something Igor-ish.
Yeah, no kidding. So, yeah, no, it just says that he came out on stage with the piano, and that's it. There's never any stage direction at this point in the script to Igor ever again until... later when the monster finishes his dance routine. We'll just leave it at that, because I don't want any midweek spoilers just yet.
That's true. We got to be careful about that.
So as they continue this dance routine, and they're sort of in sync with one another, they're doing sort of like a mini chorus line thing. They shuffle one way, chorus line. They shuffle the other way, chorus line. They do that typical sort of 30s style Fred Astaire, hat on the hand on the top hats, cane down. I think the monster is much better in sync with the doctor, to the point where we're going to end where they're going to use the cane to add a little whoop tap on the ground to go along with their feet, and they look pretty much in line with one another. So the monster is picking it up as this minute wears along.
Yeah, he is, and so it's either good training or the monster's getting smarter.
He's certainly getting more comfortable. Maybe he just had a little anxiety. Like sometimes the very first time you're on stage, you might be you're a little rough. Like minutes 1 through 4 here on the podcast, and then you start really getting your rhythm.
True. I don't think that was nerves.
Was it minutes 1 through 4, or was it minutes 1 through 40?
1 through 82.
No, where are we now? Minutes 82. We're still hoping to eventually get back in sync.
But that 0 minute, man, we nailed it.
We it's the most listened to minute we have. We're like, yeah, and I'm done.
Perfection.
Unsubscribe and move along.
Those guys are idiots.
All right. There's not much more for me to go into with this, so I wanted to quickly because they're doing a tap dance. It's a tap routine. And I thought, well, we should try to do something educational. Maybe give you something to use when you go to trivia night. Did you know tap originated in the United States? It's actually a U.S. dance form. It actually originated in the United States, but it came out of the fusion of several ethnic percussion dances, primarily African tribal dances, along with Scottish, Irish, and English clog dances. So you kind of push all those together, and you can see some of those elements when you go see, like, I don't know, I'll have to admit this, I'm a Michael Flatley fan. I kind of like Riverdance and Lord of the Dance.
If I knew who Michael Flatley was, I would either be really impressed or really confused.
You fans out there, you know who Michael Flatley is. So
either way, you're going to make fun of him. It's going to end up in the same result. It doesn't really matter.
Now, wait a minute.
Either way, he's going to get shot down.
But I love that style, that Irish dance that they do where they've got their arms at their sides, like they're not supposed to use their arms. And so
right.
Everything's sort of like waist down. And then when you see 50 or 60 tap dancers all so like crisp and perfect, and it's impressive. It is impressive. And so I love how that the United States said, you know what, I kind of like the clog, I kind of like this Irish jig, I kind of like this African tribal music, and let's just put it all together and we're gonna call it tap, and we're gonna make it our own. You know, I guess that's what Hollywood does. They don't come up with anything original. They just steal everybody else's idea and put a lot more glitz on it.
Well, and I know America.
You made that movie for $30,000. We're gonna spend $30 million.
And it will be amazing.
Now it's $300 million.
Well, and America takes a beating, and American culture takes a beating. But I'll tell you, that is one thing I do like about American culture, is we'll go around and go, hey, I like this kind of food and that kind of food. Let's put it together and see what happens.
Why they call it the melting pot.
That's right. And, we like this kind of dance and we like that kind of dance. Let's put it together. This kind of music, that kind of music. And,
well, here's a tie-in, which is kind of funny, to Blazing Saddles, because, there were other immigrants that worked the rail lines, not just blacks who were either freed slaves or were kind of put into the railroad business and had no rights. You had Chinese, you had Irish, you had a lot of different immigrants that went to go work on the railroad. Check this out. It was believed African slaves and Irish indentured servants had observed each other's dances on southern plantations, and that tap dancing was born out of the result of the Irish jig and Irish indentured servitude to go along with true African slaves in that time period before the Civil War. They would observe each other's dances and realize how similar in respects they were, and sort of kind of started to meld the two together. And because you know how you do that when you see somebody that, you see something you like from somebody, you sort of take on those mannerisms and vice versa. So they started to kind of naturally merge together. And let's see what else it say. Researchers suggested that tap instead was nurtured in such urban environments as the Five Points district in New York City, where a variety of ethnic groups live side by side under crowded conditions and in constant contact with the distinctly urban rhythms and syncopations of the machine age. So it was in the mid to late 1800s, dance competitions were a common form of entertainment, later called cutting contests. These intense challenges between dancers were an excellent breeding ground for new talent. Anyway, during the following decades, styles of tap dancing evolved and merged. Among the ingredients that went into the mix were buck dancing, a dance similar to but older than the clog dance, soft shoe dancing, a relaxed, graceful dance done on soft-soled shoes and made popular in vaudeville, and buck-a-wing dancing, a fast and flashy dance usually done in wooden-soled shoes and combining Irish clogging, high kicks, and complex African rhythms. And I think we're going to get some of that. We're seeing all three of these in this little routine we're watching right now.
Sure are.
Because it starts off a little slower. It does a little soft shoe, but I think we're going to see the really frenetic moves coming up here in tomorrow's minutes, because we're seeing that just as we end today, where we are, is they're both in sync with one another. They're kind of doing the dance around the little cane. They plant the cane down, and they're sort of doing like the ring around the rosies sort of thing. We've got a big, big, loud dance moment coming up tomorrow.
Well, and it's interesting that you talk about how those were all combined. I've never really thought about where tap dance came from, but you do see those elements and those influences in tap dancing as you watch a really good tap dancer.
Yeah. I've always, I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up with my mom and dad watching things like Lauren Swelk and other things. Whenever there was a really just energetic tap number, I always thought it was cool. Maybe because of the percussion elements I've always liked. That's why I think I like things like Stomp, and I've liked the Blue Man Group because of that whole, I love the percussion, and I think that's why I'm a Neil Peart fan.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't take much to be a Neil Peart fan. You watch him for 1 minute, and it blows you away.
There's something about the that percussive rhythm sort of gets you. I just, like, I'm sitting here in the studio right now, I'm bouncing along like Igor on the frickin' piano right now.
Now you understand.
Now I understand.
Well, and I think one of the things I really appreciate about tap dancing is when you see somebody who's good at it, I look at it and go, I could never do that.
It's amazing.
That is really, really impressive. There is no way I could do that. So, Matt, are you a tap dancer?
I do not have the physical coordination to do something like that, which is why it's even more impressive to watch the monster do it, because he's a tall guy, I'm a tall guy, and I know I could never do anything like that. So,
well, think about this, Matt. How tall are you?
6'5", somewhere around
so
there.
You're right around Peter Boyle's height. Throw on 125 pounds worth of gear and 3-inch platform shoes, and then go tap dance. Boots. And go tap dance.
It's not happening.
And you know, you're in a pretty physical job. You're in good shape. You know, could you imagine having to do that?
Could not. The coordination to me is my body, my arms and legs are not always the smoothest of appendages.
Gangly, is that?
Yes, you could call it that.
Well, and think about how many takes too they probably went through for this. That had to just be brutal.
Before we wrap up this minute, I got a couple of factoids that I thought might be worth sharing with our audience. Obviously, we've got two different kinds of creative forces between Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks. We've talked about that a lot, and how Gene sort of brings out maybe the intellectual of Mel Brooks, and Mel Brooks brings out the zaniness in Gene's, and they kind of tempered each other as well. Well, this was said about this particular scene. This detour between these two creative directors led to an actual clash. Quote, this is from Brooks, "I'm ashamed to say I didn't think the Puttin on the Ritz scene would work." He said, quote, "It was too crazy." Wilder said, "I argued why it was valid until I was purple. I was close to rage and tears." After 25 heated minutes, Brooks finally backed down, saying, "Okay, it stays." Brooks later said he just wanted to make sure that Wilder had the courage of his convictions to fight for it like he did.
Well, I think it was wise for him to do that. I think this is one of the iconic scenes from this movie.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's such a part of this movie. Imagine it just being edited out.
No, that would have been a tragedy.
Because you could actually re-edit this film where all you have is him walking forward, walking backward, cut to the light blowing up, he loses his mind and does the stage dive into the audience, and
that's it.
And it makes sense. The story keeps moving. This doesn't really do anything to advance the story, but it's just funny as hell.
Well, I was going to say, except for the fact that this is a comedy, and this works.
It does work in the fact that it is a comedy.
And it is also, again, we kind of compared it to some of the other Mel Brooks movies. This could not have worked in Spaceballs. It's smart comedy. It's not lowbrow. It's not slapstick. It's physical, but it really fits the tone of the movie, and it fits perfectly in black and white. This was a really masterful piece to include in this movie.
It's so out of place and yet fits exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, that it is out of place but perfectly fits.
I've got another note, but I'm going to save it for tomorrow, about the fact that Gene fought so hard for this scene actually caused a near budget problem. Just getting this piece of music.
Really?
Yes, so I've got that coming your way tomorrow, so you're going to have to stick around for that.
I guess I'll listen.
Before we wrap this up and tease what's coming up tomorrow, Matt, anything we forgot?
No, we didn't forget anything. I'm just hoping that the video that we made recreating this dance, all three of us, will come out soon. You guys have that scheduled, or?
It'll be on a Patreon page.
Good,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Only subscribers will be
behind several firewalls.
I can hear people canceling their accounts all across North America.
It's okay. We'll find you. We'll email it to you. We'll make sure it gets to you one way or another.
Walt, you got anything?
No, I think we've covered it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think we gave a pretty good rendition of what's going on here, and that dance number is going to continue and build into tomorrow. So let's go ahead and tell you, come back tomorrow, Hump Day, minute number 83. We continue with the tap dance, but we're going to end with Dr. Frankenstein falling. Did he screw up his routine? Did he trip? I have no idea. I've only seen this movie up to minute number 82, so I'm going to have to come back tomorrow myself to see what happens in minute number 83.
I think it's going to be great.
Well, somebody wants to learn a little bit more about us, or maybe they do want to support us via Patreon. Where can they go?
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked a little bit about Patreon. If you haven't taken a minute just to look, go to patreon.com/thewilderride. There's some offerings that we have there. We've got some stuff that we're starting to post behind the wall there. But also, if you'd like to help us out a little bit, there are some costs associated with the show. We'd appreciate it if you'd at least consider being a part of that. Even if you just take $1 a month, that would be a huge help to us and help defray some of that cost and allow us to do some other things creatively that we would like to do on this show. So that's patreon.com/thewilderride, or you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thewilderride, and learn a little bit more about us there.
Come on back tomorrow, minute number 83 on this, The Wilder Ride.
So where are your tap shoes?
I'm like Igor. I have a tap chin. Remember when he did that in the box?
That was awesome. When he was the floating head.
That?
We're still doing this dance in thongs, right? Because I brought mine.
Yeah, you brought your thong like you were supposed to.
Good, okay.
I don't know about the wee part.
We're going to have no listeners by the time this is over.